Right, they're about to get started.
Okay, here we go.
There's some excitement for us to get started.
I'm told that Samantha De Boyne are not playing in this set and therefore will not qualify for the gold medals if Italy win. Also, I hear that Zimmerman and Moulton have played only one set. I don't know if they'll be playing here, but I'm sure if they were to lose the game, they would still get the silver medals. There'd be no sense in that being stopped, seeing as they did play the required number of sets right up till the silver medal stage. So it'd be interesting to see who's playing at the other table. Although I've watched a couple of sets of this final, the second and third set yesterday, along with my fellow commentators, this is the first time I've seen either of these pairs, because in the open room we were getting Fantoni Nunes and Versace and his partner Laureat.
The reason for a 10 minutes delay in starting time is that we are on the official Livebridge theater, and there the open room starts every time 10 minutes later, so they hope to have results from the closed room throughout. But with this lineup, I'm afraid that the open room will overtake the closed after a very few boards.
We can see they've got 8 club tricks and 5 winners outside. So if the players were hoping for a nice easy board to get settled in, they haven't been granted it. This will be a bidding test, one that you'd think would be easily solved by the hand with the long trump suit taking control, finding out how many of the gaps his partner can fill. They've also got to judge that the Queen of Trumps is likely to fall, as there are only 3 missing, and it can be picked up if it lies with West, because when they play the ace, the void would show from East. The margin of
I suspect that 4 hearts may be key card here, and that 5 clubs shows 2 without the queen. But that's my suspicion.
Without the Queen, when he's got an 8-card suit, that would be unusual.
He's already bid 1 and 3, so in context, I'm not sure there's a reason to lie. But I'm only guessing here.
Yes, his partner might have the bare ace of clubs. In that case, there would be 4 trumps missing to the Queen, and you wouldn't want to bid a Grand Slam on that basis. Well, there we go. Brilliant. Fancy trying to catch up 53 imps against people who bid like that.
Do you have any more information in the grapevine about why Dubois and Samantha aren't playing in the final?
No, I was just told by a kibitzer that that was the case. But 53 imps is a wonderful lead to take. But I suppose there's no sympathy in bridge, and if they think that the win of the gold medals, which means absolutely everything, as in all sports, winning is absolutely the main target, perhaps they would not show any sympathy to their teammates, and who is ever going to know that they haven't got any medals in their top drawer or in their bedroom chest? People will just remember that Italy won if they do win, and that the others were part of the team. So none of us three commentators are actually in Bali, hearing sort of local chat, and we don't really know why the third Italian pair has not featured at all.
So coming back down to earth, you can see a fairly simple 4 spades here.
Whatever final team chat the other team may have had to decide roughly what their approach will be to try and get 53 imps back. Maybe, of course, that they don't have one because it's not such a margin, and I don't see that you should start swinging with 32 boards left. But whatever their decision was, it can have been set back a bit by finding the opponents bidding that grand slam. What a hammer blow on the first board.
As we can see with the spade 3-2, this 4 spade is 100% sure, because with the spade 3-2 you could take 3 times spade, 4 times diamond, discard a heart, and off a heart for your 10th trick. But with the spades 4-1, you need a little bit of help or a little bit of luck, because you need to set up a club trick.
Of course, if the person with the long trumps also happens to have 3 diamonds, you can pitch heart on the 4th diamond after drawing 3 rounds of trumps. But this is pretty dangerous because playing that way, I think you have to cash ace of hearts first.
Well, he would need 4 diamonds rather than 3, wouldn't he? Otherwise you might still lose a ruff and 3 club tricks.
Ah, yes, still need the club. Well, no, you get a heart ruff that way.
Yeah, but one of your diamonds is roughed.
Right, the 4th one. Yeah, okay. So loser on the winner. So yes, you always need the club tricks, therefore.
I've noted that there are 9 top tricks in 3 no trumps, but of course that would be an absolute miracle to diagnose that. The auction is the same one that nearly everyone would have produced in bridge at any level at playing that range of no trump, and there's absolutely no way that anyone at the present state of the universe can diagnose you've got 4 plus 4 plus 1. except that the great Terence Rees used to often laugh when people bid Stayman. Totally obvious for all of us to bid Stayman on the West Hand, but he would sit in the audience going, "Oh, God, they bid Stayman, how absurd. Just raise to 3, no trumps, for heaven's sake. Bridge is an easy game." Most top players would do that if West's shape was 4-3-3-3, unless they play something like second round relays following Stayman, in which case they can discover the shape of the... Oh dear, I've just been told USA 2 have won 34 imps in the first 3 boards of the Venice Cup. Still, at least the 3rd page of my article is secure. I had a message, Peter, from the English Bridge editor. They play the same hands in the Bermuda Bowl, and USA 2 obviously bid the grand, whereas the England pair didn't in the Venice Cup. I'm told that the player with 5...
Bad news for you, David. After 3 boards, 34-0 for US against England. In board number 1, US missed the Grand Slam, but the English missed the Slam. And in board 2, Nicolasinha was 1 down in this 4 spade.
Can you not hear me at all, Peter? I'd already been talking about that. Does my voice not come through on your machine? What happened was that they opened 5 clubs. The England player opened 5 clubs on the 8-card suit.
Although the queen play looks a little bit strange, North knows that East-West will always get their king unless they make the clear guess terribly wrong.
Sorry I lost you. You know, I have some sound problems, and I was out of sound for a few minutes.
Have you got it back again? Because it's a big problem if you can't hear what we say at all.
Yes, I hear you now.
Well, I had been trying to set up a second window so I could admire England's progress, but if they've lost 34 imps in 3 boards, I'll spare my nerves. In fact, 5 clubs was passed. I hear now they didn't even raise to 6 on that other hand, so that's not a good start. Well, the preemptive overcall has forced East to some immediate view of the slam prospects. This is the second big board where England lost to USA 2 in the Venice Cup final by not bidding this slam, I guess. Nadala raises the clubs just on a doubleton. He knows his partner is going to have a pretty long suit, and although there's not much chance that the Norwegian pair will screw up their Blackwood responses, thinks it's worth a go.
So again, we
Pass
didn't
will
lose
have
the
shown.
fact, but oh, sorry, David. Pass looks like it's 1 or 4, and 5 diamond asks for the queen. So West says yes, I have the queen and also the king of diamonds. East may bid 6 hearts. No, it's just a realistic contract.
But as we can see, 7 clubs is cheap against 6 spades.
Be a bit much for East to look for a grand slam, even with 6 spades in the West hand, which he does know about. He's counting 6 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1, and hoping to add in either a heart ruff or an extra diamond trick.
Against 7 club, East-West need to set up the heart off to even the board. 1400, without the heart off, only 1100.
When you play Roman keycard Blackwood, you can see that the methods which allow you to show which side suit king you have, rather than just giving a count of kings, are very valuable. Here it was helpful for East to know that West's king of diamonds would provide 3 tricks since he had the ace-queen, whereas the king of clubs would provide only 1. I'm not saying that he wouldn't go into 6 anyway on this particular hand, but it just changed the cards a little bit, and you might be able to bid a grand slam if partner has one of the minor suit kings and not if he has the other one. So when you're responding to 5 no trumps asking for kings, you just show your lower king. The 6 diamond response would show the king of diamonds. When you're responding, as here, to the Roman keycard Blackwood queen ask, when you've got the queen, then you name your side suit diamonds instead of, again, just merely giving a count of them.
So an incredible rarity here. We finally see, in fact, possibly the first one I've seen, an invite after a 1-0 trump opening. We've seen some pretty bad 8 or 9 point direct raises, but with a couple of bullets and 10s and 8s, this West hand is pretty good.
Well, I don't regard them as pretty bad raises just because they may have resulted in what looks like a silly contract on a particular board. When you've got 9 points, the odds favour going straight to 3 no trumps, unless you've got some stamen interest. When you've got 8 with a 5 card suit, the odds generally favour going there, straight there as well. So it doesn't make it a bad bid just because the hands happen not to fit on some particular occasion. It's just good policy in the long run.
Difficult lead from the south. West has showed 4 spades and a reasonable hand, but limited. So there's something to be said for making a passive lead. You know that East likely has 5 hearts. So an interesting Queen of Diamonds lead.
When responded has made a limit bid, just 2 no trumps here, then the defenders know that they don't have any spare values, and they're particularly keen not to give away a trick. That's the general idea.
So if they have, so counting declares tricks, we now have 3 diamonds, a club, a spade, and a heart. That's 6. If the heart finesse is on 7, the king of clubs is on 8, and you can get a spade trick 9, possibly 2 spade tricks depending how the cards roll. So we're going to try and make this contract, and it looks normal to knock out that king of diamonds.
Western dimming their playing normal methods, use Helgamo Holt. Had only 50 did hand but card major. So despite those dubious values, the black queens, which in fact are quite useful on this hand, as they're more likely to be in no trumps than a suit contract, he sees every reason to go on. He may have, for example, a 5-3 heart fit with a roughing value in hand. So looks like he's going to make it, and that's a good reward for his judgment on the deal.
And note that both hands in the west hand are also playing their role, and the jack in the east hand in the ace-jack third combination is always powerful when you have it protected. USA 2 actually now ahead. Another disastrous board for the English ladies, but hopefully they'll get going.
Italy have gone 2 down on this board, so that will be a significant dent to the lead if the contract is made here, which it would seem to be after the King of Diamonds lead.
Peter was commenting on how quick these 2 pairs are, but you don't necessarily have to be quick on a difficult hand. Yesterday when we did a set together, this foursome managed to get through the whole set, I think something about 8 boards ahead of the other room.
At the other table, South led a low diamond. It's a close decision whether you lead high or low from that holding. On this particular deal, with partner having nothing in the diamond suit, it does work out better to lead a low one because you keep your king-queen alive, and declarer is not gifted 3 diamond tricks. It can work out okay to lead the king. I mean, you might pick up Jack Doubleton in one of the posts and find your partner with 10, pretty close.
You know that in the other room. In the other room, the Italian pair opened 1 heart. The Italians are very staunchly by major players, and maybe the National Open do slightly roundish queens, 1-no trumps when in range.
Well, that's purely because of the rebid problem. I mean, most people are absolutely forced to open 1-no, otherwise they're going to be screwed. So, say they get a response of a spade, they can't rebid 1-no trump because that's weak, so they would be a bit stuffed. So, although it may well work for the Italians, all that means is that the rest are behind a rebid, whatever partner says.
Back to the lead from King Queen 5-4. I would normally lead the small one if I have King Queen 9 fourth. Then something could be said for leading an honor. But 5-4. The south, and then play him to force him to play hard.
England have already lost a big lead. They're 46-0 down, and that reminds us why you should not be in any way swinging to try and overtake this lead, which is now here only 39. 39 imps can vanish in a flash, even if it's two world-class teams facing each other, which of course we do in fact have in two world finals. Of course we do.
So North-South play transfers in competition over a diamond heart, and so the double shows 4 or 5 spades. This is a fairly popular, more modern treatment. I'm not a fan myself.
West has gone straight to 4 hearts on what is on this occasion a totally preemptive raise. That's in a way what you would expect when he goes directly there without bothering to say show his strength with 2 diamonds. But yesterday I saw a player making just the same bid, raising to 4 hearts on a fairly balanced 17 count. So players may think, I want to be in 4 hearts. There's no reason why I need to tell anyone why I want to be there. I'm just going to take up the space. If North's got a good hand and he thinks that I'm preempting, then let him carry on bidding, and I'll be there with a double. Because Hellnest knows that his partner may have nothing but a long string of hearts, which is not even an advantage in defence, because it means that they're less likely to be able to cash the ace and the king when partner's long, he gives no thought to doubling 5 diamonds.
And note that with 2 aces, he doesn't make some silly 5/5 bid either. There's no reason that the limit of the hand isn't, say, 3 hearts and 4 of a minor, and that North South have guessed wrong. The person who's bid 4 hearts has taken over captaincy of this auction and is relatively pleased with how it turned out.
In the closed room, South didn't find the club switch in time against 4 heart. He let the king of diamond and then switches to a club, docked. The Clare took the next club, brought out the diamonds, and then played North in clubs to play from the king of spades. That's the way 4 heart makes with 4 losers.
Well, a wonderful piece of card play. Thanks for unearthing that one, Peter.
So instead of 4 imps for Monaco, this board will give 8 for Italy.
This particular South hand, the aceless 8 count, but nevertheless with a good 5-card suit. That's the sort of hand where you would be looking for game facing a strong no trump. Not the situation here. Maybe Madala is intending to pass whatever response he gets to 2 clubs. I don't know. Yes, he has done. Even if he was playing in 2 spades, that would be very playable in a 4-3 fit.
Note that the 3-4-5-1 shape is the perfect type of shape to bid 2 clubs on, more so than the 4-4-4-1, because when partner bids 2 diamonds, you're guaranteed at least a 5-2 fit. We all know partners who open funny no trumps with long clubs, for instance.
And exactly the same bidding in the closed room.
Which is all the more surprising because it means that both pairs are playing the weak no trump, and not that many pairs that we've watched over the last 2 weeks can say they do that.
No, but Antonio Nunes needs the weak no trump because their 1 openings are stronger than usually. And as me, the Italians are chickens. They play 15, 17 no trump in red, and 12, 14 or 10, 13 red. For a lot of years I haven't played weak no trump vulnerable. I hate to give up out 1100 or 800 against nothing.
When I first started to play bridge, perhaps the majority of players in England who were playing what they call ACOL, as though there are quite a lot of variations in it, but the majority of them used to play mixed range no trumps, weak strong no trump they'd call it, and they would bid strong no trump vulnerable, weak no trump non-vulnerable. Well, of course you can do anything you like once you're a good player, but when you're starting off I don't think that's a good thing to begin with, because it has quite a big impact on a lot of suit auctions, on no trump rebids and so on. And you don't really want to be playing two different systems in effect according to the vulnerability. So it's best to just either pick strong, which most of the world does, or pick weak, and go with that, particularly as, say, here in England, most people's bridges played at match point pairs, and the odd 1100 that Peter was referring to is then not so painful as it would be in an imps match.
So David, with this type of hand, do you pass the redouble and let North get away with something? You know you're not really defending with this type of hand, unless partner has strong preference, or do you just bid hearts again, or do you bid? You probably don't bid spades here. I see that's what Helge will think of this option.
Standard bidding facing a power showing redouble is that on most hands you will just pass because your partner may be looking for a penalty double. That's the main meaning of a redouble, the way most people play it. So when you take out, in particular if you take out two hearts, you're passing your partner two messages. You're saying, I'm not interested in defending anything. And by the way, I've got a pretty awful hand. I only opened because I had a long heart suit, so two hearts would be very weak. Well, here Helge Mo has only 11 points, including a pretty feeble doubles and queen that may be worth nothing, but he has a 7-card suit. So he's a million miles away from being interested in defending against two of a minor, and he thinks that he'll take a flyer at 4 hearts. The ace drops the king, and that is a mixture of good news and bad news for declarer. Not particularly bad, I suppose, since he was expecting to lose at least 2 tricks. North's double marked him with most of the points, suggested heart shortage, so it was likely he would have a singleton or doubleton king of trumps.
Do you think it would have been reasonable for declarer to rough a diamond to his hand, went in with the queen of spades, club up, pitch a club, and then a club rough to try and shorten his trumps?
No, he needs to set up his spades. Whatever happening, he needs spade tricks. And it looks like a flat board. He will lose another spade and 2 hearts.
The bidding was just the same at the other table. I don't know if that's obvious bidding because the redouble often does suggest a singleton heart. But anyway, it's good enough for me if 2 players in a Bermuda Bowl final rebid 4 hearts. We've got another 9 boards to go in this set, plus 16 in the final set. 25 boards and a margin just short of 50, so they need around 2 imps a board. And that is quite a big total. However, we've just seen from the Venice Cup how enormous numbers can change hands in no time at all. Just a tiny little bit of good news coming from the Venice Cup that England have picked 11 back after a massive number being entered in the minor score. Of course, it's not entered on their scorecards because they're only just looking at what's happened at their table.
So what looks like another pretty thin 4 spades by east-west, maybe not getting there, not on if you don't get a club trick. Sorry, no, it's only it's far too early in the morning for me. This only makes 3 spades.
South taking a while to decide what to do. His options are to show a 2 suitor in the reds. That's what he seems to have done, or to overcall 2 hearts, or conceivably to start with a takeout double, intending to pull clubs into diamonds if his methods allow that on those values. Absolutely obvious 4-spade bid for West.
A very difficult lead for South.
Well, I expect he'll cash the ace of trumps to get rid of that. Yeah, he has. Then he can at least see dummy and decide which is the best of the 3 leads away from a king.
He can trust partner to give a suit preference to say something about what they hold here.
And now he needs to lead the
There is,
king of
course,
diamonds.
hiding the 4 of spades. As David and I have discussed quite often, declare deliberately hiding their lowest spot card just as good practice. They don't want South have an easy time reading North 6.
As I see, only the king of diamonds can now defeat the contract.
Peter's point is that if he leaves a low diamond up, declare has a roughing finesse to pitch a heart loser. Even if he goes low diamond to the ace and the heart back. Just flies ace, then plays the queen of diamonds. I mean, we also know that I think a club here would be good enough as well.
What continuation are you thinking of, Peter, after taking the king of diamonds?
Another diamond.
What, to shorten the trumps so he can't take advantage of the clubs? Is that the point of that?
Yes, what do we do with a king of diamond, another diamond? If you're off, I think you have problems, because now you can play another diamond.
Fantoni Nunes have lost 300 on this board. So, as always, quite a lot of points are hanging on whether the game can be made. There we go. He takes the roughing finesse in diamonds, made possible after South switched to a low diamond rather than the king. We're not suggesting that the king was a good defence at single dummy, just Peter's pointing out that it would have worked. It's a little bit easier to see the best defence when you can see all 4 hands. Sometimes it's not that easy, even when you can. Particularly I find if it's very early in the morning.
So he's not home yet.
No, he can only take 1 heart rough. There's only 1 trump left. Other table, North did decide to sacrifice in 5 diamonds facing the red 2 suitor for 300. And as 4 spades was just too difficult to make, that's a pretty chunky 8-inch swing. Was in fact also 300 against the game is pretty valuable, 3 imps or so, if it turns out to be a fantasy.
Yes, that's very fine. Continue their mate stuff that actually is worth nothing.
If you ever come to study the
GABSI auction here, where 2 diamonds shows values, 2 hearts denies values but shows clubs, and South selects their 4 forfeit.
If you ever come to look closely at the mathematics of sacrifice bidding, you really have to consider it in 4 different sections, the 4 possible vulnerabilities, sets of vulnerabilities. And love all is not such a good one to think of sacrificing unless you think you can maybe get out for 1 down. The sort of bonus that Peter mentions that you may push them to the 5 level, well, they're not so likely to do that at love all either. If they think they can make 650 and are reluctant to just pick up 300, they may do it then. But if it's only 450 instead of 300, they might as well just pocket the 300 if they're not sure 450 is a certainty.
So North can see 2 diamond losers, a heart loser, and likely 1.5 trump losers. One possible line might be to play a heart and hope to pitch a diamond on the 3rd heart. But that's playing for some kind of mid-defense. And playing for legitimate trump holding for the opponents seems normal. Holding the diamond ace, East sees no reason not to just hold up and see if partner can help with some signaling.
But the Italians have done better than Fantono Nunes in the closed room. They were playing in 2 spades, one of their 2 7-card pits, and down 2. Even with the hearts 4-2, 2 hearts looks like to be a winner.
The total number of imps changing hands in the Venice Cup final is pretty astronomical. I watched most of the first set yesterday, and the bridge was disappointing in that set. Loads of double-figure swings flying in both directions, and both teams had played wonderfully well to reach this stage, but the standard of the bridge then was not up to what either of them would be hoping. And eventually, when I see what's been happening in this fifth set, which has been disastrous for England so far and resulted in them losing a quite useful lead, then I'll be able to see, we'll all be able to see when we look at the view graph records, exactly whether that was down to a bad bridge or some brilliant play and defence at the other table. Kitty Cooper, who is watching both that table and this, due to some wizardry that has so far been beyond me, although of course I should be concentrating fully on... Right, she says that I shouldn't quote her on what she just told me. Right, I won't. Three spades will be a shortage, hoping that partner can bid 3 no trumps. And over 4 spades, Helness now is pretty confident he'll have sort of diamond fit. He might perhaps have bid 4 no trumps to get a choice of minors, but he didn't want to do that when his diamonds were not only a card longer, but so pumped up with honours at the top.
He might also fear that 4-no speed for play.
I don't think that would be the best usage, because 3 spades hasn't really shown that you're prepared to go for 10 tricks. At the other table, Monaco are in 5 spades doubled on this board. Well, there we go. Bocky's decided that rather than go to 5 spades, he might just hope that he's got some sort of defensive chance. Happy board for him.
As I see, it's very close that 5 clubs is a make.
He's bid 5 diamonds as a sort of two-way shot, really. I mean, wasn't entirely obvious because he does have the king of spades facing partner Singleton. But I expect he thinks that's likely to be a dead duck, as the original overcall was made by South, and maybe the king can be caught. If he knew that the ace was in the north hand, he might think that he had 3 defensive tricks and that maybe 4 spades would go down. And that king is likely to be totally useless in a constructive sense if his side plays in 5 diamonds. So that was a close decision what he should do over 4 spades. Again, we see that West was very happy to insist on game on his 9 count, and that is indeed the winning strategy when you play the strong no trump. Trying to stop in 2 when you've got 15 opposite 9 is going to bring you a world record collection of plus 150s.
Yeah, unfortunately they're in the wrong strain here. I don't know if West had it available in natural 3 clubs.
You see that Al Hollander says at the other room they bid 2 hearts. A bid of one of the suits indicated by South, always important for partnerships to have some use for bids in the opposite suit or suits, and at the other table 2 hearts showed clubs.
Very deep finesse here.
Looking at the club suit in isolation, we see that it can be picked up. Leave the jack to pin the 10, but that assumes you've got plenty of entries. I don't know whether that will come into it.
Oh, that cost you an extra. Playing hearts off and club to finish. Only down 1, now down 2.
Yeah, that's a shame. It's played
I
very
think that was careless played by Helmus.
We saw earlier that they playing a weak no trump, so South has to open a club, since 1 spade would have shown for most players a 5-card suit. In England, playing Acol, you can open a 4-card major suit on that sort of shape, and the country is divided 50-50 as to whether it's better to open a club or a spade. All the beginners are taught to get their major in and open to spade, so that's the official English Bridge Union theory.
I have to say, I've played Akal a couple of times now with 4-card majors, and every time this type of hand has shown up, I would have preferred opening the minor, just because the spade has preempted the auction, and without being able to show 5 of them, he can never show this hand type anymore.
David, I expect that the official English system is the only country in the world where it's played that the South hand should open once in a natural system.
Very likely that's true, and I've got a pretty good feeling that most of the top players would open the club anyway, just as Yuan was saying. I very much favoured opening the minor myself.
So this lead is taking declare off a club guess, not that there's really any other way to play it. But you now see one club trick, two top diamonds, top spade, and three trumps. And obviously, I think we should try and set up the diamond suit. It seems normal to try and play to rough the suit out, which works in this case. Which is a little bit delicate because the spades, you have two losers there. North has played the five of clubs, which is their highest affordable spot, showing a preference for spades.
Just spend a second or two looking back at the bidding. This is a truly bizarre sequence by Hellner. He had the values for a jump response showing about 8 to 10 points on the first round. That was awkward for him because his best suit was diamonds, and he wanted to show the major. So he bid only one heart, which could have been on an absolute Yarborough. When the opponents then went to two clubs, he jumped to three diamonds. Well, they've got into what you might think is the best spot, the spot justified by their values, but it's a bizarre route.
Is he trying to a combination of cross-off and throwing trumps? It looks like a little bit dangerous for him.
While he's thinking about it, I see there's some discussion again in the tap-in country about the third pairs of both of these teams. Most of the kibitzers watching will be aware, I'm sure, the history of the Monaco team, which it's a multinational team with true inhabitants of Monaco in it, just brought together artificially by a sponsor. Two of the very best in the world, the Norwegian East-West here, and Fantoni Nunes, the Italians at the other table, are playing with Pierre Zimmermann, the Swiss sponsor, and Mouton of France. And it's been a triumph, that arrangement, because they've reached the final of the bowl. The whole team had to relocate to Monaco to get citizenship, which they as quickly as they were hoping, and they were unable to play, I believe, in one of the were aiming for. Did well after the European zone, and I had Zaman, the sponsor, has played only one set. Now, if Italy are 70 imps or so ahead with one set to go, maybe, I don't know, they will allow him. But in my opinion, it shouldn't make any difference to him qualifying for the silver medals, because he did play the full number of sets in the semi-final, which is good enough to win a silver medal at least. And if you don't play the full number in the final, then so what? You didn't even win the leg. So I assume, if the regulations are within half a mile of being sensible, that he should qualify for that without having to play the last.
He's going down now.
Al Hollander says is telling us that he does qualify for the silver medal. Yeah, that makes very good sense.
So yeah, declared various ways to make this. Either setting up the diamond suit, or if the cross-off line does work, he gave up a low spade early. But it certainly looks like, well.
So back to the start of the board, I think the first comment was he has to set up his diamonds. And so right you were, David.
Yeah, sadly I don't remember making that excellent point, but let's say that I did. If I did, very good point. Yes.
So no trumps showing spades and a good raise here. The West hand is upgrading. The singleton club, although it's a queen, is a singleton their suit, so looking pretty good.
At the other table, Laurier made the game on the in four spades by guessing the diamonds, so he must have played on that suit.
He also received a helpful ace of hearts lead. Ace from ace doubleton, helping him with that suit.
Yes,
Did you think
but
you are?
Come on, David.
I was going to ask you, he was saying that there was some chance for the cross-rough line. Did that depend on ducking a spade before he leads any trumps himself? Because he's going to need 6 trump tricks, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. It depended on an early spade duck. It was too late by the time he was thinking, because that they can get in and then just play the ace of trumps. If you're looking for the cross-rough, I don't think you can play any rounds of trumps. At that point, it seemed like the only way to make was to try and set up the diamonds, which seems like a pretty normal line from the very beginning, actually, as both of you have said.
So the lead of the ace of clubs here in the open room was almost like a great gift. It gave him an alternative line of play. In the closed room, the lead was the ace of hearts, and very precisely switched her spade into 2. So the defense have set up 4 tricks from the start, so now declare need to get the diamonds running.
some people still play that 2 no trumps doesn't show at least game values in spades. They hope to cram into that one bid the dual usage of being able to make a game try and to investigate spade slams. I've always thought it's much more sensible to use it to be a game force, and here presumably it was a game force, or maybe 3 diamonds set up a game force, so East was able to agree spades below the game level to start investigating slams with a couple of cubids. Well, you can see how wonderful that sort of method is. That's just what we want to do, to cubid at the 4 level without going past game to investigate whether there's a slam on. Not so good if you get up to 4 spades, someone still has unannounced strength, and you cubid 5 clubs, 5 diamonds. If you decide not to go then, or after some other combination of cubids, you're going to have to play at the 5 level. The English writer Eric Crowhurst, who was very prominent when I was a young player, he was one of the big theoreticians on ACOL. Anyway, he could not resist describing the 5 level without calling it the dizzy heights of the 5 level. And in some of his books I found myself counting how many times he'd used that phrase.
So it's interesting that West never bid 4 hearts, but East has done anyway. I don't think 7 diamonds is as good as the written commentators are saying it is, because although you have that extra spick, you're wanting a couple of roughs in the dummy, and your entries are, well, they're in the trump suit, which loses your small trumps, or in the spade suit, which risks a rough. As we can see on the heart lead, which is almost indicated, you don't have the time really to set up both club roughs and to pitch a heart on the long spade. I suppose it's pretty good with 3-2 diamonds, but you should really be catering to grand slams on a 3-2 break.
Back to the bidding, the 2 no trump bid. I 100% agree with you, David, that should be game forcing. Then you have the whole 3 level to examine slam potential.
I think it depends slightly about your agreements about responses to no trumps. If it's limit plus, as long as you have a very well-defined I am absolutely minimum bid, then it's playable as limit plus. With my regular partners, I play the Jacobi system on as if they hadn't overcalled 2 clubs, except of course the 4-level club bid would be a splinter. So as long as opener has a way to limit their hand for the minimum hand, it puts responder as captain. And if opener makes any other bid than the minimum, then you're in the game force up to the limit raise.
In the Venice Cup, England are having an absolutely nightmare session. They've already lost 50-60 imps. Adding to that, they've just bid 7 spades on the previous board. So that does remind us that even at this level, you can absolutely shower away imps, and almost any sort of lead can vanish if your judgment starts to go wrong. Maybe because you've had so many bad boards, you're just getting a bit dizzy and can make further mistakes. But I mean, I won't know till I see the board exactly how that's been happening. You'd think if you'd lost 65 imps or so, that 1 or 2 mistakes should be made. Even if that has happened, of course, they played wonderfully well to get to the final of the Venice Cup, and the scores are still roughly level, and probably there'll be a pretty exciting final set there.
Before moving on onto this board, I want to make one final comment about the previous board. note that sure, 7 diamonds would be the only possibly making grand, but actually for the small slam, if that's where you want to stop, I think 6 spades is more realistic because you're in a 9-card fit, and you won't really need that long spade pitch in the diamond suit. The 4-4 fit allows you extra roughs, but you won't need that if you're only in 6.
That's absolutely right, yes. I mean, there's a lot too much said about playing in a 4-4 fit when you've got a 5-4 side suit, but the 4-4 fit can often be defeated just by a mere 4-1 trump break, which happens quite often. So that's a good point by you on there.
Well, we're definitely lucky in that we've seen some pretty wild boards in the set. It's been quite quiet, to be honest, for several days now, since essentially the knockout stage. But lots of cool boards. So Declare only has one. There's a spade ace and one and the heart ace. Is there any way for South to get another trick? I don't think so.
It's another of these deals where Declarer will have to look for the Queen of Diamonds, and we saw a wonderful example of the approved line of play yesterday where Declarer fought tooth and nail to get a complete count on the deal and eventually delayed his decision with an initial Queen to 4 missing until trick 12. And then, because of all the information he'd gathered, he was able to lead towards the tennis in the dummy and make the correct decision. General theory is that you play on as many side suits as possible and try and judge which defender has the more cards in diamonds. If you think that South has got 3 diamonds to North's 2, then the odds become 3-2 on that he's got the Queen of Diamonds. If North has got 3 cards, you'd finesse him for it. That's the situation when you've got a two-way finesse.
When we have a quiet moment here, I can tell you about the preferred Danish style over one major, 2-0. It is that the opener now, by bidding 3 clubs, just tell minimum and no voids. And very often the bidding then will go 1 major, 2-0, 3 clubs, 4 in the major, and reveal nothing for the opponents. If the opener have no minimum, he has 2 options. He can bid 3 diamonds, which shows extra values and no singletons, or he can show a singleton up the line, hearts, club singleton, spade, diamond singleton, and 3 no major singleton. And over 3 club, the 2 no trump opener have the same options.
Declarer can probably guess that the spades are 6-4. Now that North shows void in the trump suit, he's become an initial favourite to have the longer diamonds, and therefore the finesse would be taken that way. Depends if Declarer can find out any information about the club suit.
There was a case to be made for a very strange play, as in you could plausibly test in that if it loses, well, now you can play for the Queen of Diamonds the other way, and if it wins, you have a good guess on where the Queen of Diamonds is as well.
Well, if the club finesse loses, you've lost 3 tricks.
Oh, sorry, they're in 5. Yeah, quite. Yeah. So why do you think North is showing the Queen of Clubs here? He doesn't really want Declare to finesse the other way.
Oh yes, he tried to move some clubs to his partner's hand. And with more clubs in south, the player is likely to finish north for the diamond. But I think this Queen of Clubs is too obvious. I would have played the 10, but it worked.
So presumably the claim is on, I'm going to take this person for the Queen of Diamonds.
Well, he's got no reason to assume that the hand that opened 2 spades has got 5 clubs, and he needs to have a full 5 before that gives the other hand the balance of the diamonds.
Popular treatment that some people play is to have some form of 2-suited 2 major bid, but of course that gives away a lot of information when your side is relatively weak in the high card point range. So I think North was quite happy to be playing regular weak 2 there.
Also, when you've got 6 cards in the major, you're a bit reluctant to make some 2-suited bid that implies you may well have only 5. That's just the same with Michaels. I think if you've got 6 spades and 5 clubs, you shouldn't bid Michaels over 1 heart, because you're almost certain you want to play in spades.
Some a little bit strange results in the Venice Cup match. Very, very swingy. On the previous board, the Americans on one table went to 6 diamonds, which was well hit. Sorry, not hit. That was down 3, but in the other table they were doubled to 5 spades. So the English ladies almost back on par.
Of course, it would be truly insane to double 6 diamonds if 6 spades might be on. Very happy to sit for it when you've got a 5-0 break.
Oh no, not that board. Just the immediately previous
Was
one
it not?
when they were in 5 cards, which is why it's quite strange.
But 14 imps for US and 15 for English ladies, so the total amount of imp are up to 114. I repeat, 114 on 13 boards.
Unlucky for them, but lucky for us, because it means the hands have been very good viewing.
But it's almost average of 10 imps per board. Have you ever seen that before in a World Cup final?
No, I'm sure you're right. And as this set is drawing to a close, we've still got this board and 2 more, but excuse me, I don't think we've given the Italians enough praise, really. We've just been looking at the swings. They are just one wonderful team. Who believed when this final started they would be 93 ups and worth a concession, although indeed I expect they will play the final set against the mighty Monaco team. That just is brilliant bridge. Have we not been absolutely staggered? They've played four-handed. They've made very, very few errors. They've applied maximum pressure. They've bid all the big hands wonderfully. They are fully deserving to be world champions, and very well played indeed.
Yeah, super defense, super declare play. Some very, very impressive plays throughout the board. And for instance, today in the defense of the board 8, the 4 spades, where they've correctly found the diamond switch. Yeah, super. And also in the bidding as well, you know, fairly understandable system. Not too many gadgets other than the Gazilli. Very natural, understandable, and direct. And really good judgment. Not going too high. Yesterday we were watching where the Italian team managed to stop in 4 for minor, just in, to win 5. So yeah, all around really, really good. Very, very solid.
From the beginning I was asked about who was the favorite in the final, and I have to admit I only said that the Italians was 55 to 45 favorites. They have proven me wrong. They were, I should have said, 70 to 30.
Now the margin is so big, it's a little bit sad, I suppose, for the third Italian pair who've not played. Won't be much point giving them a token session in the 6th set because they needed to play 2 sets to get the gold medals. So we've had a few questions as to why they haven't played, and there must be some sort of story behind it, because I remember asking Peter yesterday, are they regarded as the third best of 3 brilliant pairs, and he said not really. You know, they're a top world ranking pair, and if they were firing on all cylinders they would have had a good share of the boards here. So we don't know why they haven't played, and maybe that will surface eventually.
And if they haven't played because of sickness in the pair, in my opinion, they should be given an honorary gold medal, even if not playing in the final.
Well, we might get quite a few sponsors producing 6 certificates if that rule is introduced. Anyway, I said about an hour ago that no one remembers which pairs played how many sets. They remember for decades that Italy won it, won by a good margin, and they'll remember the 3 pairs that were in the team.
And that's exactly my reasoning behind offering them an honorary gold medal. And I know that have happened before.
So
I see.
as mentioned earlier, when vulnerable they play a stronger trump, and I think they will get to, yeah, with 4-3-3, it's very normal just to bid 3 no trump. Essentially bidding statement on such hands, never mind Terence Reese, but pretty much everyone would frown on such an action.
It does have, mathematically, if the south hand has got 4 hearts and his shape is 4-4-3-2, then hearts may be a better game. So if you have the method to bid Stayman and then relay on the second round to discover if the shape of the south hand, to some extent you can get the best of both worlds, playing 3-no trumps when they're matching 4-3-3 shape, 4-3-3-3 shape, and you won't have any discards, any roughing values, and then still play in the slightly better heart game when he has got a doubleton. Against that, though, by bidding Stayman, you give information away, and whenever a partner does not have a heart fit, you've told the defenders a bit more about the hands, and they may have a better chance of beating 3-no trumps.
So the very favorable spade position here means that declarer will take 10 tricks, I think. Eventually he will end up, he may not get a club trick. But he'll certainly make his contract. Yes, and I always like to think, looking at these top players, some of them play fairly complicated systems here and there, but where do they choose to expend their effort on? For instance, the Italians, they have a very useful GABSI system to be able to distinguish the wide-ranging one-level opening bids, but you see that they make a realistic 1-no trump, 3-no trump bid here. And so I feel that we should all learn from the top players what they feel, we can see what they feel the important areas are to concentrate on. And as other people have discussed, what really distinguishes, at least to me, these top pairs in this final really has been the card play and the defense. Although maybe not their best set, Helge and Helnes have been really superb throughout, consistently excellent. And I think we can only discern the slight difference in this set just because in comparison to Bocci Medalla, who have been so wonderful.
I needed to know what was the standard American way of bidding 4-3-3-3 shapes facing 1-no trump in tournament bridge when writing a recent book about computer simulations for opening leads. So I consulted Philip Alder and Barry Regal, who write 2 of the big columns in the States, and they told me that the good players would not use Stayman, but the vast majority of tournament players did use Stayman on that shape, which is not such a bad idea because your partner will be 4-4-3-2 more often than being totally balanced. So on our computer simulations, initially I had to include in the sort of thousands of hands that were used to work out the best lead that they would be using Stayman on that shape, because it was intended for tournament players, the book, and I wanted it to match the way that the bidding would go against them. Of course, I could then run a second simulation to find out how much the odds changed if responder would not have bid Stayman on that shape.
I think it's very fair to say that the better the caliber of player, the less Stayman would be used on 4-3-3. For instance, what I would consider to be genuine experts, I would consider the percentage to be very close to 0.
As we see, the player was a little bit lucky with a spade layout, but he had no alternative option. For 9-6 he had to play on the spades, and no swing.
Okay, it looks like yet another interesting last board, but let's take this opportunity to thank VBO for hosting this throughout the 2 weeks now. Trajan on site, Diana off site, and my fellow commentators, David and Peter, and of course all the written commentary, Matt Nielsen, for instance, providing some very interesting comments, and also the specs, and most importantly, of course, the ViewGraph operator for yet another excellent session. And although this final has not been close, pretty much. The quality of play has been excellent. I think David and I will be continuing in the one remaining close match, which is the Venice Cup. I'm actually not sure what's going on in the seniors, but the USA-England has been a wildly swingy set this set, and we hope to see an exciting final.
A popular method that has sprung up quite recently is that a 2-diamond overcall of 1-no trump will show a hand either with 6 hearts or 6 spades. Nadala is in no doubt which suit East will hold. However, I do remember that in one of the big finals which the England ladies won, maybe it was the European, there was some doubt about which suit which 6-card suit the opener had. In that case it was a multi, and they ended up with getting a huge swing because the opponents misguessed which suit would be held by the guy showing, by the woman showing the 6-card suit. 4 spades, very practical bid. In fact, it's long hearts or spades and a minor, this variant. The other one is known as a multi-defense to 1-no trump.
As advertisement for why it's such a luxury to have 3 different events. So it's also close to the seniors. I'm being told by Al Hollander that the German seniors lead the US by 9. Although we don't have the information directly on hand, I'm also told that the transnational, the open teams, which is going on at the same time, it's also close.
One set still left, as Yuan mentioned, but I just want to say that this has been a very enjoyable for me, all the commentators, and for the thousands of kibitzers to be able to follow mainly the Bermuda Bowl, but also the other 2 big events, and to have the ability to do that absolutely free of charge, taking advantage of such magnificent BBO software, is something that we all appreciate. So many thanks to them. It always mystifies me when you get given something so valuable for nothing, but I suppose they're making a bit of money out of it somehow, or it wouldn't have been there. But anyway, that's certainly my view. Thanks a lot.
There I can only 100% agree with you, David, and I'm a little bit scared about the rumors that the right to transmit from World Final, from Bermuda balls and so on, should be sold to a Chinese company. That scares me.
Same sort of thing happened with the rights to the England cricket games and the Football Premier League. Eventually, if there is a commercial prospect in broadcasting that, it gets bought up, and eventually everyone has to pay to watch.